calling all leprechauns. If you guys could please report to DFA immediately. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am so glad that everybody could join me for the second therapy session this week. That's right, the PHNX Sun Devils show coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. That sweet, sweet jazz music is unfortunately the sound of another loss. It is time for a walk of shame because the Arizona State Sun Devils couldn't complete the comeback against the TCU Horned Frogs 74-70 in a wild finish that we're going to get into. Guys, I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by the man, the captain, the magician behind the Mac. That is, of course, Captain Redbeard. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I don't know how you guys like to do therapy, but maybe grab a snack, grab a drink, have your phone on standby to call a loved one at any time. Maybe get a warm, fuzzy blanket. Or if, like I said in the cold open, if you guys know any leprechauns whatsoever, if you could please send them to Desert Financial Arena because this team needs some luck. We might be talking about the unluckiest month, the unluckiest team in Arizona State basketball history, because that sequence at the end of the game was absolutely bonkers. I have never seen anything quite like that in my life. If you guys were watching it at home, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll break it down here in just a moment. Kyle, I want to hear from you because we were watching this game, we were chilling with Damon, whatever. And it looked like Arizona State was completely out of it at one point, right? And it wasn't anything ridiculous. We weren't talking about a 20, 25-point game, but it sat at between 7 to 13 points pretty handedly throughout the entire contest. And somehow, some way, Arizona State turned on the gas the moment Adam Miller got ejected from this game. My question is, is there going to be a point where it doesn't take an ejection to get this team juiced and amped? Because it felt like it was a little too weird.
You know, Adam Miller leaves the game, and all of a sudden, your Sun Devils are coming back. The game's getting close. And then we have that, I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless on that finish to that game. It was quite the sequence to watch. At the very least, we were entertained.
Yeah. So
we were both entertained. Couldn't keep our eyes off of the beautiful game we were watching. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was kind of a strange motivator. They felt kind of out of it at times in this one, and then Adam Miller leaves, and all of a sudden, you know, Sean Phillips gets a few buckets, BJ Freeman hits a big shot, and your Sun Devils come back, and it looks at some point, you know, it looks like they might actually come out with the win in this one, and then the ball just didn't bounce their way.
No, literally, it did not bounce their way. David Stith in the chat saying another ejection. Yes, Adam Miller did get ejected for some choice words that he had with an official. If you saw the replay, you can read his lips to exactly what he said, something that we are no longer allowed to say on this program. But I do want to get into the last about minute and 42 seconds, because that's realistically the sequence here. And I know there's a shorter sequence, which you have the three-pointer and then the inbound violation. But really the madness kind of started at the minute 42 mark left in the ball game. That's when Jace Posey of TCU made a dunk. Again, that at that point made it 67-62 in favor of TCU. At that point, it felt like, okay, you obviously need a bucket if you're Arizona State. Who is going to be your guy? And oddly enough, it was a Sean Phillips dunk. Sean Phillips, who we'll get to a little bit later on in the show, he provided some big minutes with Jaden Quaintance, obviously out of this one. So with a minute 22 left in the game, you got 67-64. Arizona State's defense, I thought, was pretty solid in that second half, especially in the last 5 to 10 minutes, so that the offense could muster up somewhat of a comeback. A big part of that goes to that Arizona State defense, right? So you get a missed dunk by Jace Posey on the other side, ultimately blocked by Sean Phillips. They review it, and eventually they say it's out on TCU, which, Kyle, there was a missed call kind of earlier in that sequence, right? Or at least later in that second half that we felt like was a little strange in and of itself. This one felt just as strange. This one didn't look like it was off Posey at all.
No, it didn't. You're talking about the one where he went up and
blocked it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it didn't. That was just, like I said, I think they were just kind of making up for the call before. I mean, the call before seemed a little odd to me, like a mirror. Like it seemed like the play was dead, and then on the floor they called ASU ball, and then they went and reviewed it, and they said Amir was inbound or stepped out of bounds and had the ball. So I was a little confused.
Yeah. Really, really weird sequence, but it played out in Arizona State's favor. ASU ball at that point. I audibly say, okay, there is 52 seconds left in this game. Arizona State is down 3 points. How many times have we seen this movie before in the last month, in all honesty? Right? Arizona State, in a nail biter, needs someone to come up big to get the job done. I said, BJ Freeman is the only one that should take this shot. BJ Freeman, with 43 seconds left on the clock, answers the call. Fires away, nothing but net, 67 apiece. We got a ball game in Tempe. Okay? Then, on the other side, this is where things get disgusting if you're an Arizona State fan. Arizona State's defense does a remarkable job in this possession, forcing a disgusting shot from Noah Reynolds from behind the arc. A shot that looked bad. They even said it on the broadcast. A horrendous looking three-point shot. Takes the strangest bounce or roll or whatever you want to call it and goes in. 70-67. Nobody on planet Earth knows how that shot went in. That's why you need the Leprechauns. That was an unlucky roll/bounce if you were Arizona State. That kid takes that shot again and again and again in that same moment. That's the only time it goes in. I promise. Based off of everything you saw in that roll and that bounce. That's it. Okay? But Arizona State still has life. They still got a shot. You're getting the ball back. Except Bashir Jihad, while he's inbounding the ball, has 1 foot inbounds and 1 foot out of bounds. That is an inbound violation. The ball would immediately go back to TCU. Tragic. A tragic situation. Ultimately, they'll exchange free throws back and forth, right? You have TCU going up 72-67. You get an Alston Mason 3 on just a crazy shot. Goes in for Arizona State. 72-70. Some free throws on the other end for TCU. Ultimately make it 74-70. A wild finish in this one. Just, again, we potentially are watching the unluckiest season in Arizona State history. And I know there are other elements to this. I know that may rub people the wrong way, me saying that this one is unlucky. Ultimately, you did have 40 minutes to go out there and win this ball game. But that was a crazy finish. And if we're talking about luck was not on Arizona State's side on the other side. I did see, I think it was Dwayne Savage earlier in the chat saying, well, at least they shook hands. They did. They did, Dwayne. And I had something I even said to Captain Redbeard as we were getting ready to do the show. I'm like, well, at least they are shaking hands on that one. Coach Stark Holmes in the chat saying the lack of discipline is the worst it's been in 30 years. You see it with not only the players, but as a team on the defensive side. I think, again, this is a team in Arizona State that if you want to evaluate just the last month, has had a number of ejections, a number of issues being able to kind of just rub things off. Adam Miller, again, getting ejected today when you already have a little bit of a limited bench, a limited rotation because Jaden Quaintance wasn't available. You saw how gassed Sean Phillips was late in this game. You could have used an Adam Miller in a 4-point game like this down the stretch. Now, the flip side of that is kind of what Kyle and I were discussing earlier, is it felt like Arizona State needed that juice, needed something to really kick it into high gear, and it was that ejection from Adam Miller. But there does, I agree with you, Coach Stark, there does need to be a little bit of a change in the way that these guys kind of just again, rub it, like just shake it off, man. Shake it off. We don't need to tell the ref to, do certain things. We don't need to tell the ref that. BJ Freeman, obviously, he had the headbutt incident with Arizona. Adam Miller, he had an incident earlier, I believe, in the Kansas State game just last week, right? So, and these two guys suffered suspensions against Oklahoma State when you needed them. Like suspensions, injuries, ejections, bad bounces. Like, this is a team that it's something that we've talked about all week. It's got the talent, but it feels like it's having to fight extra hard to dig itself out of some of these little holes, right? Again, at the end of it, it's a 4-point loss. This is your fifth straight Big 12 loss. You are now, I believe, 3-11 in conference. Kyle, am I correct there?
I believe so.
I believe 3-11 in conference. 5 in a row you have now lost. And the difference maker there, could it have been Adam Miller? Yeah, maybe. What about the game against Oklahoma State, right? Where Alston Mason and Josan Santa combined for 40 shots. You could have used a BJ Freeman and an Adam Miller. These are the little things that in the moment where it's just, just take a deep breath. Literally, it's a therapy session, right? And I will admit, and I think everybody at home should too, it's easier for us to sit back here and say, oh, just shake it off. Shake it off, right? Don't say this, don't say that. It's an emotional game, right? There are a lot of intense things that go out on that court. But there does need to be a point where it's like, hey, I have to understand what this is going to cost me if I go mouth off to the ref, if I go headbutt somebody in a different game, if I go slap somebody in another game, right? There are certain things you just simply can't do, okay? It's a culture thing at this point. Now, you can have the discussion, well, Arizona State's culture hasn't always been like this, right? Where it does feel a little bit of they're just heated. It's heated, right? These are emotional guys wearing their hearts on their sleeve when you're watching it, evidently. No, the culture hasn't always been this. But college basketball is in a weird spot where the rosters look completely different every single year, right? So it is a little bit more of a challenge to build culture when you don't have guys coming back year over year. Not to say that not any of these guys are going to be back at Arizona State next year, but based off of the way that the quote-unquote luck is going as of late, I wouldn't be counting my chickens quite yet. Again, 74-70, you could have used every player that you possibly had today, and you didn't have Adam Miller because he got ejected down the stretch. It is what it is at that point. Arizona State, you could make the argument they got hot a little too late, right? They finished 6 of their last 8, 3 of their last 3. Arizona State was on fire. They were on fire down the stretch. But it took too long to get to that point. And it looked like, this is the frustrating thing for me, and I'd love to hear it from everybody in the chat, is early on in these games, it feels like it is so hot and cold. And I don't mean it by the shots going in. I mean, it's the shot selection for me. Is early on in these games, it's like, okay, Arizona State is either taking really good shots, they're working for their baskets, or they're taking piss poor shots. What was it today early in the game, Kyle?
Poor shots, bad defense, especially early in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad shots, bad shot selection. And it feels like there are certain players on this team that maybe have a longer leash when it comes to the shots that they can take. But I feel like this is a part of the reason why this team maybe sometimes starts slow in these games. Is because they continue to take some of these bad shots. Then sometimes they go in. Just because a shot goes in doesn't mean it was a good shot, right? I feel like there's a little bit of a misconception or maybe a misunderstanding where it's like, okay, I'm going to pull from 30 feet with 20 seconds left on the shot clock and it's going to go in and that means it was a good shot. Like, no, that's not at all the case when I'm looking at this team. And when you get down the stretch for Arizona State, it would look completely different. The offense looked good. It felt like games, the last time Arizona State won a ball game, where it's like, okay, one dude's hot, we're getting him the ball. BJ Freeman was hot tonight, 21 points, 8 of 16 from the floor, shot 50%. That was the guy. He took the shots that mattered most in the biggest moments, and he made them. But it was a little too late in this game. If this is a game against a team like an Oklahoma State, maybe you win this game. If this is a Colorado, maybe you win this game. TCU's played well as of late. Won a number of games in a row. Can't really afford to have this happen at this point in the game, but how many times this season have we said that, right? Where it's like, you can't really afford to have this happen, and then it just kind of snowballs. How many games ago did we say that Arizona State needed to win out? How many games ago did we say that you needed to win these close games? And how many games has Arizona State won in its last 5? This many. This many games. Against good teams, against bad teams, against middle-of-the-pack teams. Unlucky, right? Well, the numbers might say differently. Let's go ahead, get to By the Numbers, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Captain Redbeard, of course, the only number that matters is that final score. TCU outdueling Arizona State at home, 74-70 in favor of the Horned Frogs. Leading scorer, again, we talked about Jace Posey, 20 big ones from him, 21 on the opposite end for BJ Freeman. Both teams shooting an even 44% from the floor tonight, 25 of 57 for Hurley's squad, 23 of 52 for the Purple People Eaters. From three-point land, 33% for the Devils, 25% for TCU. And then in terms of sharing the rock, 15 assists for Arizona State, 7 assists for TCU. Again, the story of this game, you got hot too late. You shot better from 3. You shot equal from the floor. You had the highest score, and you dished the rock around better. Better team basketball, better team offense. The defense looked solid down the stretch. You didn't have Adam Miller. That hurt. You didn't have Jaden Quaintance. That hurt. And you shot yourself in the foot early by taking bad shots. Boom. That's why you lost this game. You were the more talented team, evidently. Right? Like, it blows my mind. And it's frustrating, and I know it's frustrating for everybody else there, right? Cactus Johnny in the chat saying, TCU blows. The problem is we blow more. It's tough, man. T Goose, Bobby Hurley is cooked like these boys 15 minutes before the show. That's crazy. I'm not cooked, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Marvin in the chat. Marwin in the chat. Interesting name. Saying you won't get a better coach and players until the facility is improved or replaced. I don't know if the facility is going to necessarily impact who you're getting as a coach. It may impact who you're getting as players. I've always been a big believer, especially as of late, that you do need to do something with DFA. It does need to look different. It needs to be updated. It needs to be renovated. It doesn't sound like that's going to be happening as it stands right now. But yeah, the real Jasper is saying they are not game planning correctly. Having to dig yourself out of a hole every time wears you out before the game is over. This team is talented. The problem is they run out of gas in the last 2 minutes. I agree. I think that is a beautiful take. Absolutely beautiful take. Is they're starting slow and you're gassed and you're winded by the time you get to a point where it is a 4-point, 3-point game at the end of it. Literally, Sean Phillips, hands on his knees, bent over. right? While TCU's taking free throws to pretty much put the game away. Dude is gassed. He's exhausted. There are no other bigs on this team other than Jane Quaintance, who's dealing with an injury. That's where this team is at right now. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be for this Arizona State basketball team in 2025. It just isn't. You can want and will and coach and play any way you want. This team is just not there. They're just not. And in reality, they're not going to get there. There's not enough time left in the season. There isn't. And it's depressing. Welcome to the therapy session, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're just getting started. We're going to be talking ASU basketball some more, some ASU baseball, softball, and hockey. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break. Look, somebody said it in the chat. They were saying that I was out here cooked. I'm not, but it is a Saturday night, so you never know. The night is still young. And look, if we're partaking, we're of course partaking with our friends over at Pure Edibles. Look, Pure Edibles was founded in Arizona and is available, and get this, 130 dispensaries statewide. Pure gummies, they're not covered in sugar like all of their competitors, but don't get it twisted. That doesn't mean that they don't taste like candy. Pure is a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, Kicks, their version of Starburst, chews, soft candies like caramel, and hard candies as well. Plus, Pure effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what effects you guys can expect if you're looking to maybe go to sleep early, if you're going to have a chill night on the couch, or maybe you're just going to party at home with the wife, the girlfriend, whatever. Pure Edibles, they have you covered. Look, Pure gummies, they're designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. So go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. And if you do opt to take a Pure Edible, well, our next partner, they've got you covered. Of course, we are talking about Waymo. Waymo's autonomous ride-hailing service consists entirely of all-electric Jaguars. Guys, providing a consistent zero-emission experience for their riders. If you are looking for a chill ride where you could just vibe by yourself, Waymo. Look, I'm personally not the type of person that likes to get in a car and just chat with the driver. I like to just sit back, kick back, and enjoy my time by myself. Waymo, they have you guys covered. And look, they're not new to the game, okay? Waymo has over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience. Guess what? That's enough to drive to the moon and back 80 times. Download the Waymo One app and ride today. Guys, we appreciate everybody spending some time this Saturday evening with us. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Connor in chat saying the second half of the game should be same for the first half. Why can't we see mistake-free basketball for 40 minutes? That's the question, right, Connor? That's the question. The thing that needs to be answered at some point is, why can't Arizona State do it for 40 minutes? Why can't you do a whole first half and second half of just good basketball? Is it the conference? Is it the opponents? Is it the travel schedule? Is it the roster? Is it the coaching? Is it what? There needs to be an answer, I think, at some point before you get to next season. There needs to be some sort of announcement's not the right word, but there needs to be some sort of ownership for the way that this season is gone. And I started off the show by saying this was an unlucky year, an unlucky team, and unlucky everything. And I do feel that way. I think it was very, very unlucky. But there is more that goes into this season than just luck. And for Bobby Hurley and this squad, especially if Hurley is going to be back next season, I do think there needs to be some sort of statement that says, hey, this wasn't good enough. Right? If I'm Bobby Hurley and I'm told, hey, you get to run it back next year. You get to run it back in 2026. I feel like, given the way that this season has gone, given the noise on the outside, especially, right, with Graham Rossini going out there the other day and saying that there are no rumors about Bobby Hurley being on the hot seat. He's the coach. If I'm Hurley and I get the nod to be back next season, let me know what you guys think in the chat. I think I need to come out and have a statement and say, you know what? Things didn't go the way that we wanted them to last year. I take full responsibility for that. This was a underperforming season for Arizona State. It is below expectation. We strive for more, and we will be better. I feel like that can only help you in this situation if I'm Bobby Hurley, right? Again, given the fact that I feel like Tempe and the Arizona State fan base is very split on this decision. Either half of you want Bobby Hurley to be back, and half of you don't. Let's put it in the chat. I know we put it all the time, but let's do it again. Do you want Bobby Hurley back at Arizona State next season? Yes or no? I feel like going out there and giving a statement saying, you know what, this was a bad year. This is not acceptable by our standards at Arizona State. We are going to be better, and we are going to do everything that we can to be better next season. And I don't want a statement from Graham Rossini. I don't think the fan base wants a statement from Graham Rossini. I think the fan base would want a statement from the head basketball coach of the program. Again, this is just my 2 cents on the whole thing. But I think an apology and then recentering where this program is trying to go at the end of the year could benefit the reception that Bobby Hurley gets going into the next season. Because if there isn't some sort of acknowledgement, if there isn't an apology, if there isn't a statement, if there isn't any sort of saying, hey, this was bad and I'm putting my hand up for it, then this fan base is going to eat you alive next year. Especially if you're not good. Especially if you're not good. You need to have some sort of just ownership in this entire thing, right? At least that's what I'm saying. What do we got early results? I know it's early days in this poll. Let's leave it up as long as we can.
We got 55% say no, 45% say yes. I think there's some U of A fans in there.
Of course there is. Of course there is. Yeah, U of A lost today.
They did.
We'll
Close
take it.
one.
We'll take a close one here too.
Yeah.
Just all we got to say. Close one. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let's go ahead. Let's pop some bottles, huh? Bottle service is going to the man who's just an absolute dog, letting it fly from 3. And my goodness, this has got to be JJB's favorite basketball player that we've seen in a Sun Devil uniform in some time. BJ Freeman, my goodness. 21 points, the leading scorer in the ball game tonight. 2 assists, 2 boards. This guy shot 50% from the floor tonight. And he shot 5 of 12 from 3. Not too shabby. I will say 0 of 1 from the charity stripe in a moment where you had an opportunity to tie the ball game. That's the knock tonight on BJ Freeman. You would have loved to sink that. 1 steal as well. 4 turnovers from BJ. That is something that I think you'll live with, given the fact that he was the leading scorer. You didn't have Adam Miller. It was all on BJ Freeman's shoulders. It is a real bummer for me that BJ Freeman is not going to get to go to the NCAA tournament, because BJ Freeman feels like such a NCAA March Madness kind of guy that you look back 4 years and like, hey, Captain Rebbe, you remember the run that BJ Freeman went on in March Madness? Had like a 30 burger and then like 21 one night. It's that type of guy.
That would be awesome.
It would be incredible. You're not going to get to see it this year, but it would absolutely be that way. Vontez Buckshanks, food has lost its taste. That's where ASU fans are at, man. It's tough. It's absolutely tough. Feedback, will the Buffs catch the Devils? No, I don't think so, man. I think Colorado is just putrid. They're so bad when you think about the grand scheme of things, right? Like, think about how Arizona State, how, like we said, unlucky and bad at times this team has been, and what they did to Colorado. Like, it's just, I don't think Colorado is very much of a team this year at all. That's all I'm going to say. Dwayne in the chat saying we want him back because he actually makes it fun. It'll never be an actual rivalry, but he makes it fun to watch. I assume Dwayne Savage, given the profile picture, is a U of A fan. at that point. Look, I know a lot of U of A fans, they joke about it. They want Bobby Hurley back. I want to hear from Arizona State fans. I want to know what ASU fans think of this whole thing. Think about getting Bobby Hurley back. Obviously, you'd love to be able to retain any of the talent on this team, and we've mentioned it a number of times. There is a lot of talent on this team. It just hasn't meshed together well this year. Is that a time thing? Is that an offensive scheme thing? Is that a coaching thing? What is it, right? It's something that also needs to be addressed, and it's something that I think, again, if we're talking about how can we send your spins on this, how can we get the fan base to buy back in or accept Hurley in the next season? And again, I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying that if that is something that is going to happen, you got to be able to figure it out down the last 7, 8 games now, right? 6, 7 games now. You have to show the second half that you showed against TCU, the first half that you showed against Iowa State, the first half you showed against Kansas, the first half you showed against Arizona. These need to be games, dude. I'm going to get frustrated because I am so sick and tired. I am fed up with turning on the television in this office and watching one half of good basketball every game. One half is all this team has. It's a first half or it's a second half. It's never two. Ever. And if it is two, it's against Colorado. The fan base deserves a full, clean game of 40 minutes of good ball, dude. Let them have it. That would go a long way. I don't need you to beat Houston. I don't need you to beat Arizona. I really don't at this point. What I need there to be a string of games, 2 to 3 in the last 6 of just good basketball for a whole game. That would go, I think, a really, really long way. Okay? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Vote in the poll if you haven't already, and we're going to be back after this break. I want to tell you who you can trust out there, okay? When you turn on the TV, you might not always be able to trust what your eyes are going to see as it relates to ASU basketball, but you can trust our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. They are the official retail banking partner of Arizona State University, and they are not new to the game. They've been doing it for more than 84 big ones. That's right, 84 years. Desert Financial has been not only Arizona's largest, but most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. It is still early into 2025. If you're trying to figure out your financial solution, if you are trying to invest, if you're trying to get a loan, if you need a credit card, well, guess what? Desert Financial, they got you covered. Checking, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Now is the time to show your ASU team spirit. Open a free checking account online and get $200 plus your choice of 3 Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Go to desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started. And with all that financial growth that you are going to see throughout 2025, well, why not add to it? If you're in the market to sell your home, well, there is a number you need to write down. That is 480-776-5231. And you're probably sitting back like, well, whose number is this? Well, that's the Carol Royce Real Estate Team. Look, they're family owned, locally operated, with 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. They're not new here either, guys. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across the Valley. Carol knows the Arizona real estate market like the back of her hand. Guys, if you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Like I said, we appreciate everybody watching live, watching after the fact, listening on audio. We also really appreciate it if you hit that like button, if you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, okay? We really do And if you want to take it a step further, when you subscribe, we got a bunch of new videos on this Arizona State playlist. We did a couple tail of the tapes talking about some new ASU commits. We're talking ASU football just about every single day. Guys, spring football is right around the corner. Okay, I want everybody to just do their best and make it through the next couple of weeks of ASU basketball, because I promise it's going to all be okay. I promise it's going to be okay. ASU football is coming back really, really soon. Okay, yes. Captain Redbeard, how are you doing mentally, man? I need to know. I need to know. It's been a long basketball season. This is like your first like time in the fire of like Bobby Ball. What's the experience been like for you?
Awful. I mean,
just horrendous.
The thing that's so frustrating is, like, obviously Bobby can recruit well. He can put together some good pieces. And when this team is clicking and games are close, you're excited. You're like, wow, this team is looking good right now. They're playing with a lot of effort. But then it's just these close games that we just continue to lose all season long.
Yeah.
Like in the conference too. It's all these conference games. We keep going down to the wire and then find a way to lose it. And it's just like, for me, it's like, man, this coming from football to this, like this is a lot of L's. I know you're used to it, but like
I was born, I'm like 5'8". I've been taking L's for a long time. It is what it is, right?
We're stacking L's.
Jack in the chat saying, hang in there, Tony. Better days ahead. Have tons of talent. And then Coach Stark Holmes saying, what good is talent if you get nothing out of them? The thing is, I don't think you're getting nothing out of them. You're not getting it consistently from enough players, and you're getting it not for long stretches, right? You got BJ Freeman tonight, and you got some good minutes out of Sean Phillips. Right. Sean Phillips, again, had to start because you didn't have Jaden Quaintance. You got 12 points, 6 of 8 from the floor, 8 boards, 3 blocks in 23 minutes. That is a great night for Sean Phillips. But outside of that, I mean, Austin Mason went 3 of 10. Jihad did make a 3, missed 2 free throws. Adam Miller got ejected with 4 points. Like, there's talent here. It's just, again, you're not getting it for entire games. You're getting it for like just sloppy stretches of basketball, and it's just you're never going to be consistently good. You're never going to be able to win in this conference if that's the style of play that you have. And that the style of play is, hey, it's one-on-one basketball. I think my one guy is better than your one guy. The only problem tonight is ASU's one guy, BJ Freeman, wasn't enough. 21 points to lead all scorers wasn't enough in this one, right? And Coach Stark Holmes saying, I'm talking about wins and losses with 2 5-star kids. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. When you have the best recruiting class you've ever had in a decade, you should win more games than this. You absolutely should. And I know there are going to be people that are on the side of like, hey, it's the Big 12, dude. Like, it's a hard conference. I'm on that side. I'm on that side that's, hey, the Big 12 is a grown man conference. It is guess what? You signed up for it. You signed up to play Houston. You signed up to play Iowa State. You signed up to play Arizona, Baylor, like a hot Kansas State, Texas Tech, who's running through the conference. Like, this is what you get. You signed up for it. There are easy games. But if you want to be a good basketball program, if you want your games nationally televised, if you want to go get great talent, you got to win these games. I'm with you, Coach Stark. You need to find a way to win these games with 2 5-stars. Now, they've been battling injuries all season long. Jaden Quaintance, obviously, out the last couple games. Joson Sannon, we know he missed a stretch of time with his injury. And since he's been back, Joson Sannon, he's been really inconsistent. He just hasn't found his touch yet. 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. I don't know about y'all, but where's the cat that was going for 20 against GCU? You need that guy, right? And I think, again, when you take yourself out of it a little bit, okay, and I know there's a lot of frustrating parts of it, and trust me, I am just as frustrated. I promise. I feel like I'm putting on a very brave face for this therapy session. Captain Redbeard, am I an angry man when it comes to this team?
Oh, yeah. You've seen it all.
I'm an angry man when it comes to this team. But I'm also trying to, like, put the puzzle together of what this season has been. Okay, so sit with me for a second. What has been this puzzle that we have all had the pleasure of watching? Okay. Well, your 5 stars have been battling injury, both of them. Haven't really seen the floor together in a long, long time. Okay. Joson Sannon started hot. Since his injury has been ice cold. Like I said, 1 of 5. Going into this season, Joson Sannon was supposed to be a quote, the guy, right? Not the only guy, but he was supposed to be one of the dogs. One of the guys that you could rely on every night for 15 to 20. That's not what you're getting offensively. Other guys are having to step up. Brandon Gardner, homie you got from USC. Haven't seen him. Right? Austin Nunez, done for the year. Injury. Adam Miller, been ejected from a couple games. BJ Freeman missing time with a suspension. He's been hurt, right? I don't believe if just off the top of my head, I don't think he's missed any games because of it. But there have been halves that he's missed. Like, there is so much that goes into it. There are these crazy road trips that you're taking, right? There's a lot that goes into this, and I'm not saying it as an excuse. I'm just saying this is the deli meat in the cheese, in the lettuce, in the tomato of your sandwich. It's just not a good sandwich. Like you thought it was going to be great. Maybe I'm just hungry, but you picked out all these ingredients that you got from the store, right? You got yourself some nice sourdough bread. You got some fire pickles. You got some great roast beef, some top of the line cheddar cheese, okay? Some tomatoes and some honey mustard or something to put off the top. I don't know. You got it all. And you thought, this is we're about to go home and we are going to have a pure edible and we are going to cook up the sandwich. Well, guess what? You got home. The cheese was a little moldy. The bread, a little too hard. Not enough meat in the sandwich. You chopped the tomatoes wrong. The pickles were spoiled. That's what this season has been. You thought you had the pieces. You just, you made the sandwich and you're like, how do we end up with that? That's what this is, right? I feel like we don't even need to do aftertaste because that's what it tasted like. Tasted like a word I can't say, sandwich. That's what the season has been, man. Feedback saying I'm gaining weight just listening to you, Totri, man. Look, I know how to a sandwich, okay? I know what I'm doing here. Let's see. Will in the chat saying Sannon is cooler than being cool. That's right. He's ice cold. He is absolutely ice cold. It's been a tough one, man. It's been an absolutely tough season. I really respect every ASU fan that has watched this entire season, that continues to show out and go to some of these games and support the program, and support these young cats that are at Arizona State just trying to ball, right? So I know it's not easy. It's a tough thing to do sometimes, especially like Captain Redbeard said, if you're new here, ASU basketball last couple years, man, it will get your heart rate going, especially after coming off an Arizona State football season that ended with a 11-win season, a running back finishing 5th in Heisman voting, a Peach Bowl appearance, a play away from being one of the Final Four in the college football playoff, and so much more, a Big 12 championship, right? Like, yes, this is a low point. I think we can all say that, and we can all mean it, right? But when you're at a low point, it can only go up. It can only go up from here, Captain Redbeard, right?
Yeah, the ship can only go up.
It can only go up, man. It can only go up. I told y'all this was going to be therapy. I didn't know if y'all think I was going to come in here red in the face, just banging on the table like I do every other day of the week when I'm talking about this team. But today, it just kind of feels like that sandwich that we were talking about. You took your first bite and you threw it away. You know that this is it. There's not a ton of time left in this season. Like I said, you need to find a way to scramble together some good stretches of hoops down the stretch. Otherwise, this is just going to be a really painful one game in the Big 12 tournament. And you are going to go home, and there's going to be a lot of chatter in the offseason about, is Bobby coming back? Who on this roster is coming back, etc. And I think this program, this fan base deserves more than that. They deserve to, again, be playing competitive basketball at this point in the season. And you've seen it from the football program that you can make the unthinkable happen, right? I think right now the unthinkable for ASU basketball fans is that they're going to be an NCAA tournament team 3 out of every 4 years. That's the unthinkable. ASU football was just in the college football playoff. Herm Edwards was a coach 3 years ago. Remember when this team lost to what? Eastern Michigan? I do. To quote Sean DePaz, they lost to a bunch of dudes. Bunch of insurance salesmen. Just fellas. And now, again, ASU football was a college football playoff team. They can do it. They can do it. It's just, I think, going to take a little bit of time. And that's what we're going to do. The PHNX Sun Devil Show is going to continue after our final break. Guys, the weather is changing, and I've got just the perfect opportunity for everybody listening at home to take advantage of it. Go out to Phoenix Raceway because NASCAR returns March 7th through the 9th. Join us as the stars of NASCAR battle it out for the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. If you have never been to Phoenix Raceway, it is actually a very, very beautiful environment. Take the kids, take some friends, go out on a date there. Just have a great time at Phoenix Raceway because that's all you're going to do from March 7th through the 9th. There is nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle 200 miles per hour on this 1 mile oval raceway in the foothills of the Estrella Mountains. It is a best-in-class fan experience the whole family is going to remember. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. And look, speaking of things to remember, write this down. The Red Zone Pizza at Spinato's. Trust me. Just trust me. At me on social media when you try it. At them on social media when you try it. The Red Zone Pizza at Spinato's is a BJ Freeman buzzer beater 3. It is a Cam Scattaboo Heisman celebration after a touchdown. It is a Brandon Compton double at the end of a ball game. It's a Kelsey Hall dinger. Now, in reality, that's everything they have at Spinato's. It's all that good. I promise you. Go check it out, okay? And while we're at it, our friends over at Spinato's, they're hosting official watch parties throughout the season where you guys can watch Phoenix Suns games with dancers and the gorilla, okay? Just something to think about, okay? Get all the info on the watch parties and pizza basketball contest at SpinatosPizzeria.com. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. Somebody in the chat, I don't know who it was, said, what is your favorite sandwich? What's your favorite sandwich, Captain Redbeard?
My go-to is Italian.
Like an Italian beef?
Just an Italian sandwich, yeah. Like anywhere, any sandwich shop I go and you get an Italian, it's always at least decent. It's always a safe option.
But is that what you go for? The safe option?
Sometimes. I don't know. What do you go for? I mean, I don't go to get a sandwich and sometimes I'll get like the craziest thing on the menu, but normally I'll just get something that gets the job done. If I'm like,
and you and I are very similar in the fact that like, go to the gym, certain things I'm going to eat, certain things I can't eat, right? At least that's me. Yeah. Certain things I can't eat, unfortunately. If I don't care, I am getting a Reuben for sure. Will in the chat says it. Reuben or Italian beef and sausage. A Reuben, have you ever had a Reuben?
Not in a long time. Yeah.
Dude, a good Reuben, that will knock my socks off. You don't even want to know. A Reuben is a 10 out of 10 sandwich. Absolutely. It is so, so good. I wish this basketball team. I wish the season felt like a Reuben. I realized where I was walking myself into that sentence when I said this team, and I didn't want to. You picking up what I'm putting down, Captain Redbeard? Yeah.
Have you tried a French dip?
I have. French dip's really good too.
If you've had like top of the the best French dip at a great restaurant, like for me that might be the best sandwich I've ever had. Just great sauce, dip it in. I don't know. I've had some really good French dip in my life.
Might need to snake draft some sandwiches when snake draft season comes around.
There we go.
I think that might be something that we can do. Did we close the poll, by the way?
Let me look at it. We have 56% of people say they do not want Bobby Hurley back next year. 44 say they do.
Interesting work. What do you think, Captain? Put you on the spot here.
I mean, it's hard. It's a poll that's skewed with U of A fans.
It is.
But
your opinion's not skewed.
I mean, I'm new to Bobby Hurley ball, but just me hearing that he's been here for a decade and just it seems like there'd be more success, and like this season seems like people are saying the worst that they've had.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a change, right? There needs to be some drastic change, in my opinion. Like something needs to change here, and I think coaching's a part of it. There's a lot of factors at play, but I would think that this could be Bobby Hurley's last season at ASU, which is sad for ASU fans.
It might just be. It might just be. Time will tell at this point. Again, Arizona State has now lost 5 in a row in the Big 12. If you're an ASU fan, that is not something that you want to hear by any means. But I'll tell you what, Will has already kind of teased it in the chat. It is not all bad news as it relates to Arizona State athletics. We obviously talked about football, all that fun stuff. ASU baseball started its season really, really hot. You started at 2-0, beating Ohio State. You beat them today, 7-6. 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Brandon Compton, take a bow. He hit a walk-off double in this one to give Arizona State the lead at the end of it. ASU baseball, I think, again, we touched on it a little bit, I believe, this past week, is a team and a program that also needs some life this season, needs to show some promise. This is how you do it. You come out of the gate hot, beating a team like Ohio State. Now, Ohio State, they're not world beaters, but still starting off the season with a series sweep is absolutely massive for Willie Bloomquist, this squad, and really revitalizing this Arizona State baseball program, a program that hasn't met the historic expectations and standard, I should say, that this program is so used to. So a really hot start for Arizona State baseball. ASU hockey, they won today in an overtime shootout against Minnesota Duluth. I believe 4-3 was that final score. So that's obviously massive for hockey. Hockey, again, as of late, they lost yesterday 2-3 in overtime. They beat Denver last week 6-5 in overtime. And then that Friday, they lost to Denver 4-5 in overtime. The last 4 games for Arizona State hockey have gone to overtime. They play close ball games. They play really close ball games. They're a really, really good team. Highly, highly encourage Arizona State fans. Again, if you are looking to maybe hop off the Hurley train right now, go watch some ASU hockey. It's fun stuff. Take your mind off it. This should be a postseason team on that end. Also, Sun Devils softball. Look, today they had a rough one against Washington. They beat Washington. 4-1 against number 25 Washington. That was earlier today. They did lose their second game. They played 5-1. So that is obviously not what you want to hear down the stretch. But ultimately, ASU softball has started the season hot as well. So take your pick of the litter here. Go watch some ASU softball. Go watch some ASU baseball. Go watch some Arizona State hockey. There are plenty of Arizona State programs that are on fire right now, especially some good ones that have just really kicked off their season. So would highly encourage you all to go out, get some tickets, Go check out those sports as well. And as it relates to Arizona State, well, this is the Bobby board. This is what's left of the season. Flames. It's on fire. The Bobby board has officially caught fire. You've got Houston on Tuesday. That's all we're looking at right now. And it's going to be charred. The Bobby board is going to be charred by the time you get to that point. Ugh, unlucky. Unlucky to say the least. We have gotten so few Bobby faces. This is, at this point, this is the fewest Bobby Hurley faces that we have had on the Bobby board in the history of the Bobby board right now. You have 12 faces, and you haven't picked up a new Bobby face since you beat Colorado. Before that, it was your win over West Virginia. You know how long ago that West Virginia game feels like? It feels like it was forever ago. You've won 3 games in this conference. One to West Virginia, and you swept Colorado. Other than that, not ideal, especially not when you still have Houston, like I said on Tuesday. You got a hot Kansas State team still. You got Texas Tech, you got Arizona, and you got Utah. Quick math on that, Captain. How many games is that? Houston, Arizona, Kansas State, Texas Tech, Utah.
5.
5 games. Am I missing any? I don't think so. I think that's what you got left, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. I don't know. I'm bad at math. I wasn't a math major at Arizona State, okay?
Hold on, I'll help you.
You're going to help me with the quick math on this? I believe there is 5 or 6 games left. I'm sure somebody in the chat will be able to get it before we do. Oh, there's another BYU game in there. That's where we're missing, okay? So there we go. Yeah, you got Houston, Kansas State, BYU, Utah, Arizona, Texas Tech. Somebody has put water on the Bobby board for now. It will catch flames once again, I imagine. Guys, hit that like button. There it is. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review. Like I said, I appreciate everybody spending some time this Saturday evening. It has officially hit that point. That point where that song starts to play in the back of the bar, and it's just like, oh, man. Is it really that time? What time is it, Captain Redbeard?
It's time to close it up for the night.
It is, guys. Closing time is presented by the Carol Royce team. Your home sold guaranteed at Realty, where Carol will guarantee to sell your home for 100% of market value, or she's going to pay you the difference. Learn more at carolroyceteam.com. Now, look, with my takeaways, I could have gone a number of ways. I could have said, oh, Adam Miller got ejected. That's a big takeaway. I could have said, BJ Freeman, he scored 21 big ones, was the leading scorer tonight. I could have gone there. I could have said, hey, the Bobby board is on fire. But you know where I'm going? You know where I'm going with my takeaway from today? It says right here. ASU baseball won. They beat Ohio State with a walk-off double from Brandon Compton. I will absolutely take that any day of the week. Look, there are so many sports here at Arizona State that you are bound to find one that won, baby. And today, it was just ASU baseball. It wasn't ASU basketball today. So we'll leave it right there. Again, leave a like on your way out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It goes a long way for us. And if you haven't already, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you enjoy the content, give us a follow at PHNX _Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony _Totri. Captain Redbeard, is Eric Ruby ever coming back?
I haven't heard from him, so I don't know. I mean, why would you come back right now?
Jose Perez, man. Jose Perez. Look, you can follow the captain of this beautiful, beautiful vessel, Captain Redbeard, at K Coop Sports on social. We will be back with y'all on Monday. Okay? Monday. But everybody, enjoy your Sunday. Take a deep breath. Go Devils. And peace.
We all silly like the mayor.